Hey guys, it's TrashKat and welcome back to the Reading Room, the place where we discuss books, manga, comics, movies, anime, games, and whatever else I feel like talking about. It's been a while since we've done a review video, and today we're gonna return to the Promised Neverland. This episode will be shorter than most of the other review videos I've done, considering we're only covering about 1.5 books of manga and its corresponding episodes, as in volumes 4 and about half of 5. I wanted to stop the review there because this is where season 1 of the anime ends, and this is pretty much where the end of the orphanage story arc wraps up. I plan on covering the rest of the series as well, but those videos will be a little bit different considering the anime and the manga are going to be very different from this point on. So if you hadn't figured it out by now, there will be spoilers for both the manga and the anime from this point forward. So let's start with the characters. We're looking at the same characters as the last video. We've got our base trio, Emma, Norman, and Ray, and of course the villains, Mom and Sister Crone. Even within this short amount of story time, the main trio gets a lot of character development. One of my favorite things about Emma in the beginning of the series was her absolute steadfastness. The fact that there was absolutely nothing within her that was willing to compromise on her beliefs. She would save everyone, everyone was going to get out, everyone would escape, everyone would live. Even if it seemed ridiculously impossible, it would happen because Emma would will it into existence. But at the end of this arc, she makes that huge compromise and leaves almost half the children behind, which for Emma, even leaving one child behind is heartbreaking. But in the end, this is the only reason why their escape plan succeeds, because Emma made a choice so unpredictable and out of character that nobody saw it coming. And for this reason, Emma is in charge. Emma is the one behind the escape. Norman may have come up with the plan, but Emma is the one who implements it. She's the one who sees it through to the end, the one who makes the final choice and assumes responsibility for it. And I just love seeing female characters make these kind of choices and have these kind of roles. This would be a good story even if the main character was male, but having Emma be a girl just makes it 10 times better for me. Aside from Emma, we see some really important moments with Norman as well. Poor Norman knows he's going to come face to face with his own death. His adoption day has been set. So, in other words, he's going to come face to face with the demons. There was a small difference here between manga and anime, but nothing too crazy. For me, Norman's reaction in the manga is far more intense and I felt it much more deeply. He goes off on his own and understandably kind of has an absolute breakdown about what's going to happen to him. This and the moment right after when the three of them vow to stick together has to be one of my absolute favorite moments in this series. And I wish they had kept it in the anime. I mean, it still happens, but the actual panel and the art for that specific section isn't the same. There's just so much emotion here. And for once, we see it coming from all three of them. All three of them are acknowledging their mortality and acknowledging how much they care for their family. I mean, just what a solid moment. I think interactions like this and showing emotions like this are missing in a lot of TV shows and movies and books that we see nowadays. Because for some reason, intense emotional reactions to tragedy are seen as weaknesses. The Promised Neverland is not afraid of showing these types of emotions in all of their characters. And along the same lines here, we get to see Ray acknowledge his emotions as well and acknowledge that his emotions are valid. We get to see under his shell in this part of the story. We get to see how Ray plays off being the tough guy and he has nothing to lose. But then we get to see him realize that that's not true. He has a family, and that family really cares about him. He's thought this whole time that he's been by himself. He plans on sacrificing himself for the other children for the sole purpose of getting back at Mom. But Emma isn't gonna allow it. The other kids aren't gonna allow it. And at first, he just doesn't understand. He's absolutely confused and doesn't get what's going on. But as they're escaping, it starts to process. He starts to realize that he's important and he doesn't have to rely on just himself. And I love this. I love to see the brooding characters notice the love and care that is around them and to acknowledge and accept that. Listen, I just have a lot of feelings about these characters and how they're portrayed. By way of direct comparison, there aren't too many differences between manga and anime, except I think in how deeply their personalities are explored, which obviously is a casualty of screen time, and the show isn't really to blame for that. It's not detrimental to the story, you just don't get the full experience that you do between the pages of the manga. Now, in order to talk about the differences in Mom's character, I want to move on to the story part of this review because they're directly related. The biggest difference between volumes 4 and 5 of the manga and their corresponding episodes in the anime is how Mom reacts to the children escaping. The change here really makes the end of the arc feel different depending on which version you watch. Both versions provide closure for the viewer and end the story arc on a similar feeling. However, in the manga, there's no final interaction. There's no closure, I guess you could call it. In the anime, Mom chases after them. She makes it just in time to catch Emma right before she leaps over that chasm. She begs Emma not to leave, not to take her children. But in the manga, there's no interaction at all. You gonna sit on my lap while I talk? Oh, we're going up. Okay. I'm down again. Okay. Are you gonna lay down or are you gonna cause trouble? Cause trouble. However, my favorite thing about the ending doesn't change between anime and manga, and that is that when it comes down to it, Mom wants the children to escape. She wants them to succeed, she wants them to live, and she wants to help them. She pulls the sheets away from the wall in order to hide how they escaped, and when she goes back to Gracefield, we get to see her at peace. This is a total 180 from everything else we've seen from this character, and it just pulls at my heartstrings. We get to see how Emma and the other children's actions change her, change that hopelessness that she's felt since she was on a farm herself. There are a few other minor adjustments to how the story is portrayed, but nothing too crazy to warrant a mention. Some story pieces are emphasized a little bit differently, and others are looked over in order to progress the story a little bit better on screen. But that's about it. The differences in setup are similar in this video as they were in part 1, and it's mostly what you would expect. In the anime, we've got music and sound effects to enhance the story, and by God does this anime really take advantage of that. The music really adds to the mood, just as before. We get to actually hear the lullaby instead of seeing it on the pages of a manga. The lullaby to me is an absolute crowning jewel for this anime because it makes such a juxtaposition between sound and what's happening on the screen. For example, when Ray tries to kill himself, what's on screen is pretty horrific, but what we hear is this soothing, slow lullaby soundtrack that really just changes the whole feel of the scene for me. And like I said in the previous video, I'm not a huge fan of the dub, which I watched so that I could take notes for this video. It's just a little off-putting as I don't think the voiceover matches the characters, but maybe that's just personal opinion.
Hey guys, it's future TrashKat, who, while editing this video, realized they had completely forgotten the review part of the video. Yeah, so we're gonna cover the ratings and comparison briefly while you look at a clip of the anime intro. You're welcome. When it comes down to it, which version delivers the story better? Manga or anime? Well, let's take a look. For volumes 4 and 5 of the manga, we have 5 out of 5 screams. For the corresponding episodes of the anime, we have 9 out of 10 screams. This comparison was really hard for me because I find that I like what both the manga and anime bring to the story. I think even though the ratings are unbalanced, I'm going to say this one is a tie. It's hard for me to choose because I think these episodes of the anime are pretty faithful, and where they miss out, they make up for with music and sound.
So that's gonna do it for me for this video today. But before I go, I'm gonna leave you guys with some recs. 2 of these are darker school-based anime, and 2 of these are basically just dark children. anime, so I leave that at your discretion. My recommendations for this video will be Angel Beats, Angels of Death, Gunslinger Girls, and Soul Eater. As always, check the links down below for all my social media accounts, as well as my blog where I post full text reviews, and make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more episodes. This is TrashKat signing off.